Let's talk about something scary, something that everybody knows, but most of us spend a great deal of time and energy trying to forget. That is, that we were born and someday we must die. That is, I didn't exist, and then I came into existence, and at some point I'm not going to exist again. This is the fact of life, but we don't want to think about this. And it could be even worse, because we've already lived some of this sliver of existence that we get. Which means I've already lived some of the short life that I have the gift of experiencing. And that's in the past. That's where all of experiences come from, our values, everything, our judgments come from here. And we can use that to consider what we want to do going forward. Now, this is sometimes called something I call a lifeline. This is how much life you've got left, or your lifespan. How much life do you have left? And use your life wisely. This is all you get. But that's only the beginning, because everybody else has a different lifeline. Take your spouse, or your partner, or close friend. Right? You two have different lifelines. That is to say, you're going to live for different amounts of time. And it's the same thing with your parents. Your parents and you have different lifelines. Your kids and you have different lifelines. Your dog or your cat, you have different lifelines. It's important to consider that everybody has different lifelines. Because if you want to have experiences with your parents, you don't have all of your time left with your parents, because your parents have their own lifelines that they're concerned with. Same with your kids, but in the opposite direction. You're not going to live as long as your kids, probably. So this changes. It can change how we think, how we want to spend our time with our loved ones. Now let's take and consider the rest of this time. This is the right side of that block. Let's ignore the past and say this left vertical line is today, and then this right vertical line is our life expectancy. Now we can still keep time across this vertical axis, but we can add health to the vertical axis. Time across the horizontal, health across the vertical. Now we can add to this lifeline, we can add a health line, because our cognitive abilities decline over time. Our physical abilities decline over time. So all of these years aren't created equal. A year when I'm 25 is not the same as a year when I'm 65, which isn't the same as a year when I'm 85. So that's important to consider too. So it's not just the amount of time that I think I have left. It's what is my health going to be like? My mind, my physical abilities. How is that going to be over time? And does that change how I want to spend my time here on Earth? And consider, just like with the lifeline, you and your spouse have different health lines. So this adds an extra variable. And we already talked about we've got different lifelines. It's probable that one of you will predecease the other. So we have to consider the lifeline. We have to consider the time that we have left when we think about how we want to organize our life and how we want to spend time with our loved ones. But remember, our cognitive abilities, our physical abilities, those decline over time as well. So we also want to consider the quality of time. It's also true of us and our parents. If you want to spend time with your parents and do things with your parents, consider the time and the quality of the life that's left. Same thing with your kids in the opposite direction. Consider the time you have left with them and the quality of that time that you have left with them. This applies to our dogs and our cats and everything else. So consider how much time you have left on Earth. Consider the quality of your health during that time on Earth, and use that information, as scary as it may sound, use that information to make sure you get the best experiences that you can when you have them. You get one life. Live intentionally.